It's 4 o'clock. The top stories live on 7 News. A breakthrough for police investigating the kidnap and torture of an elderly Sydney man. Outrage over a driver's sentence for killing 2 siblings in Sydney's west. A shock inflation forecast, but what does it mean for interest rates? The emergency crisis team dealing with the oil impact from the war in the Middle East. And ABC staff walk off the job over a pay dispute.
Live from Sydney, this is 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Good afternoon. There's been a major breakthrough for police investigating the kidnap, torture and murder of elderly Sydney resident Chris Bagsarian. Police allege the 85-year-old was abducted from his North Ryde home in a case of mistaken identity. Early this morning, police arresting a man and a woman at a house in Seven Hills. Clementine Cuneo reports.
It was just after 6 a.m. when tactical officers stormed the house and arrested a young couple, one of whom they will allege was the mastermind in the kidnapping and murder plot. That man, 23-year-old Declan Donnelly, was taken to Riverstone Police Station where he was charged with the kidnapping and murder of Mr Bagsarian. His girlfriend, 23-year-old Janessa Thurston, was also arrested, but she has not been charged over the grandfather's death. Police will allege Donnelly was contracted to carry out the kidnapping of an underworld figure's relative and that he recruited others to assist, including 2 men who were charged last month. But on February 13, when Donnelly and 2 accomplices who have not been located went to the North Ryde home, they allegedly got the wrong house and mistakenly abducted innocent Mr Bagsarian. Detectives say there were more involved and more arrests to come.
We believe up to 9 people were involved in this, and we will continue the investigation to identify those that were involved, no matter what part they played.
Neighbours saying the arrests today came as a shock. The pair had only moved in a few weeks ago. Multiple guns, ammunition and drugs were also allegedly found at the house. Donnelly remains here at Riverstone Police Station. He will spend the night in custody and will face Blacktown Local Court tomorrow.
Inflation numbers cooled in the month of February, but economists are warning the worst is yet to come for Australian households as America and Israel's war on Iran continues. Let's go live to Josh Martin in Canberra. Hello, Josh. The oil price shock is yet to hit the figures.
Good afternoon, and we will see that impact in the data for March. And economists say inflation could soar above 5%. But for the 12 months to February, headline inflation came in at 3.7%, down from 3.8% in January, and underlying inflation held at 3.3%. That's still above the Reserve Bank's target range. The biggest rises were in rents, food and recreation. The sky-high petrol and diesel prices we are seeing now aren't reflected in the February figures.
We know that the pressure will be upwards from here and that the war in the Middle East will make inflation higher for longer. The end of this war can't come soon enough for the economy.
So fuel is going to go up more and more, and then you're going to see these businesses, industries, farming, everyone that's going to go under. Then you increase cost for the mums and dads to try and buy their food. It is a crisis.
An interest rate hike is still possible at the next Reserve Bank board meeting in May, but the surging fuel prices could take demand out of the economy, leading some experts to believe the RBA will hold off.
Best guess for mine is that rates don't rise from here. They'll stay stuck for a while. The president of the US and the regime in Iran is going to have a big impact on living standards in Australia.
The Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, has warned business leaders that the economic shock from Iran could be worse than COVID and the global financial crisis. A bumpy road ahead, Anne.
Josh Martin with the latest from Canberra. Thank you, Josh. Secret details of a national fuel rationing plan have been shut down by the state and federal governments. Meanwhile, the flow and effects of the fuel crisis are beginning to trickle down to everyday items. Taylor Aiken reports.
Good afternoon. A national fuel emergency response manual has detailed how fuel rationing would work in Australia, recommending that motorists be capped at just $40 a tank. The manual, written in 2019, unearthed by Freedom of Information laws, details pumps would be set to a $40 limit to ensure supply, part of a range of measures should the federal government trigger a national fuel emergency. But as quickly as it was revealed, it was ruled out.
No, that is not a measure that I would be contemplating.
Look, we're not contemplating that.
Both governments keeping contingency plans under wraps.
We've got reasonably detailed, graduated plans if the circumstances worsen in the weeks ahead.
But with 164 service stations running out of petrol and diesel today alone, the state premier has opened an emergency operations centre to manage fuel supplies in major sectors, also compelling energy companies to reveal how they will distribute excess fuel released by the Commonwealth to regional areas.
We want to make sure that the evidence is in, that the major oil companies are doing just that.
But it's not just the cost at the Bowser. Australia Post has tripled its fuel levy to 12%. Jetstar are cutting services, while waste collectors are warning of rubbish pile-ups, with operators now working at a loss due to high diesel costs.
We know that we've got price rises, and that's really beginning to impact both companies and councils in particular.
Still, the federal government is brushing off calls for a pause to the fuel excise, saying shortages are being driven by a spike in demand, not supply issues.
Fire crews battled a fierce blaze that erupted in a Surrey Hills garage overnight. 2 cars were destroyed in the fire that erupted just after 1 a.m. Nearby buildings were evacuated as firefighters fought the blaze. Police suspect the fire was deliberately lit. A Sydney teenager has been charged with planning acts of violence after an investigation by counter-terrorism police. In December, police raided a home in the inner west, seizing a gel blaster and a flick knife. A 16-year-old boy was arrested and later bailed on weapons charges. He's now been charged with collecting and preparing documents likely to facilitate a terrorist act and possess violent extremist material. If found guilty, he could face up to 15 years in jail. It was a case of watching and listening to the BBC and not the ABC for those who tuned in to the national broadcaster today. At 11 o'clock, staff walked off the job over a pay dispute, disrupting programming on radio and television. Nick Overall reports.
Well, hundreds of staff across the country have walked out the door at 11 a.m. this morning, including journalists, producers, directors and studio staff. They have rejected a 10% pay rise over 3 years, saying that offer does not keep up with the rate of inflation. The strike is set to last 24 hours and it's predicted that multiple ABC programs will be impacted. That includes the 7:30 program with Sarah Ferguson tonight. Multiple radio shows also affected. That includes the AM breakfast show. Triple J also playing with pre-programmed music without presenters.
After 9 months of a lot of progress, we've come down to the pointy end where we really need to see some structural change to deal with sustainability for the workforce. We just need a pay offer that keeps up with the cost of living.
I actually want people to progress. I want people to be successful. I want to reward them if their performance is exceptional. And I really want to encourage that sort of culture across the organisation. But I don't want to do that just based on tenure. I want to do that based on people's contribution to the ABC.
At this stage, it is unclear whether the 7 p.m. bulletins will run this evening.
Thanks, Nick. Married at First Sight host Mel Schilling has passed away from cancer at the age of 53. Her husband, Gareth Brisbane, shared the news on social media, saying he had 15 years with his soulmate and it was a privilege to be by her side. Mel had been in remission from colon cancer before the disease spread to her lungs and brain.
I was ignoring the signs for such a long time, and of course this is not unusual. Definitely my energy had dropped, but I was having such incredible gut pain, literally doubled over and shouting in pain.
Tributes are pouring in, her fellow host saying, "My heart is shattered and it's not fair that my partner in crime is gone. She was one of the good ones." Angie Asimus joins us now with a look at our weather forecast. Hi there, Angie. It's been a beautiful day.
Certainly has, and a lovely autumn day. The showers cleared, the blue sky returned, and it was nice and warm as well. 28 degrees was the top in the city centre. Very warm northwesterly winds earlier have now shifted to the east. That's made for pleasant conditions this afternoon, although the humidity persists, still quite high. We saw those above average daytime temperatures replicated across the state, high 20s in the east, into the mid-30s inland, and apart from some rain in the northeast corner, it has been a settled day. That will all change tonight as a trough enters the state south, reinforced by a cold front. The combination will lead to cool temperatures and all of this rainfall across eastern New South Wales. I'll tell you what time that is set to reach Sydney soon, Anne.
I'll see you then. Thank you, Angie. Coming up after the break, discounted tickets for the first flights from Western Sydney Airport. Russia launches its largest onslaught on Ukraine since the war began. A big fine for Meta for exposing children to dangerous content. And cancer patients take their fight for awareness and funding to Canberra. An accused bank robber is in custody after nearly 30 years on the run. Alexander Robert McDonald allegedly held a woman hostage while robbing a bank armed with a shotgun in Coonabarabran in 1996. The next year, he allegedly committed a similar robbery at a Laurieton bank on the mid-north coast. The now 76-year-old was arrested in Queensland on Monday and extradited to New South Wales. He appeared in court today via video link and was denied bail. The first tickets have gone on sale for passenger flights departing from the new Western Sydney Airport. Singapore Airlines is preparing for takeoff in November. Rex Quayle reports.
Well, you can snag a fantastic deal on international flights from 1 p.m. today. Western Sydney Airport has launched their first ever flights for later this year. Through Singapore Airlines, you can grab return flights to Ho Chi Minh City from just over $870, Singapore from $900, Mumbai from $966, and London from $1,800. At the moment, that's all about how much a one-way ticket costs.
It doesn't matter if you're in Western Sydney, the East or the North, your connectivity through to Asia and also Europe is now unparalleled.
The first one from Singapore Airlines will be a daily non-stop flight to and from Singapore and Western Sydney. The first one arrives here on the 23rd of November at 10:20 p.m. and then a separate flight departs at midnight. They're expecting a swell of demand this afternoon, even despite the disruptions and uncertainty at the moment over international travel.
These flights are towards the end of the year, so they're a fair way out, and I think that people can book with confidence for that period.
We're seeing a huge boom into Asia at the moment, particularly Japan and Vietnam, which for the last 12 months has been growing at around about 20% a month.
And it's another exciting step forward with cargo planes arriving in July. Passenger flights also touching down from November.
65% of Sydney live within 45 minutes of getting to and from this airport.
More airlines will be joining the party soon. You can find out more details on 7 News tonight at 6 p.m.
Russia has launched its biggest missile attack on Ukraine since the war began. 948 drones were fired at cities right across Ukraine within 24 hours, including this missile that struck the centre of Lviv. That drone damaged a 16th century monastery, which is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The strikes killed at least 8 people and injured dozens. Meta has been ordered to pay $375 million in civil penalties for misleading users over child safety. A jury in New Mexico found the company exposed children to explicit content and child predators. The tech giant argues it has been transparent that it cannot catch all harmful content. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the company plans to appeal. A high-profile delegation from Myeloma Australia is in Canberra today, appealing for funds to find a cure for the insidious disease. They received some good news, but there's still a long battle ahead. Nick McCallum has the latest.
Myeloma patients and doctors went to Canberra to plead with politicians and bureaucrats to take the incurable blood cancer more seriously. During his meeting with them, Health Minister Mark Butler announced a revolutionary medicine, L-Rexfio, will next month be put on the PBS for some advanced myeloma patients.
Which we think will save around 300 patients $5,000 a script.
A welcome breakthrough, but still...
If we want to realise the real benefit of this technology and other related technologies, we need to bring it much earlier in the treatment path for patients.
Myeloma Australia also released a report stating the disease costs Australia over $7.1 billion a year in health and wellbeing expenses and lost productivity, and claiming $132 million from government over 5 years for research and treatment would save $1.5 billion over the same period.
That would be a no-brainer in terms of an investment. So we're here to talk about an investment in the cure processes.
Awesome foursome rowing legend Nick Green also in Canberra. His wife Taimi has been battling the disease for 10 years.
It's now time for the wider community to be aware of it because it does have a significant impact on families and communities, and there is a significant cost.
It's a very, very tough market at the moment, Nick, and there are so many charities and so many deserving charities, it does really stretch the dollar, but all we can do is keep tapping away and hopefully things will turn.
Myeloma Australia describes this as a more aggressive approach to government for funding for a cure for this insidious disease.
Thanks, Nick. The push to encourage live music in Sydney has seen a surge in venues keen to make use of the incentives on offer. There's an 80% discount on liquor licence fees and an extra 2 hours of trade.
It's good news, it's putting musicians back in work, but above all it's giving audiences a whole lot of joy as they get together with their family, with their community and enjoy this music.
The number of venues making the most of the benefits has quadrupled to more than 550. Still ahead on 7's afternoon news, Donald Trump's latest comments on a possible peace deal with Iran as more American troops head to the region. NASA's ambitious plan to set up a base on the moon. In sport, with Matt White, another bitter blow for the Dragons, Ryan Couchman banned for a month, and the new Socceroo who only set foot in Australia for the first time a few days ago. That's next.
In 7 News at 6, petrol stink why Sydney's rubbish bins could soon be overflowing. 7 Hills arrest over a North Ryde grandfather's kidnapping and murder. The death of reality TV star Mel Schilling. How to outsmart Sydney's high-tech car thieves. And discount fares for Western Sydney Airport's first flights. 7 News live at 6.
Let's go to sport now with Matt White, and Daly Cherry Evans' return to Brookvale is a really big story this week.
Yeah, a lot of footy fans are just waiting to see how this one's going to play out, Anne. And Roosters coach Trent Robinson says DCE has offered some insight into how to take down the Seagulls. For the first time, the 37-year-old will line up against the club he played 352 games for at Brookvale Oval tomorrow night.
Definitely don't ask for the playbook. That's not the right thing to do, but he's been pretty clear on what can be of an advantage for us this weekend.
There is a lot riding on the result for both Trent Robinson and Anthony Seibold because both coaches are under early pressure.
He'll be really determined, and we're really determined to try and minimise what he does in the game as well, because if we can do that, he's obviously, as I said, there's a lot of talent in that team.
The game is expected to be a sellout tomorrow night. At the NRL Judiciary last night, another hammer blow for the winless Dragons. Ryan Couchman suspended for 4 matches for a hip drop tackle. Now, the tackle left Parramatta's Jermaine Hopgood with a season-ending knee injury.
Obviously, yeah, it's disappointing that I'm not going to be able to play footy, but I made a mistake, so I'll cop the 4 weeks.
Couchman will be available to return on Anzac Day against the Roosters. Giants forward Aaron Cadman won't make his comeback from a pelvic injury against Collingwood at Marvel Stadium on Friday night. Toby Bedford and Brent Daniels are a chance to return as the Giants look to avoid 3 straight defeats.
Some guys aren't perhaps playing their best form right at this moment, so he's making a change, the best for them and the best for us. We'll make those decisions.
And 7 News was there as Super Bowl winner Michael Dixon returned to the Swans today. The Seattle Seahawks star came through Sydney's academy alongside Isaac Heaney before embarking on his NFL journey, and we'll have that exclusive story tonight in 7 News at 6 o'clock. He hadn't set foot in Australia until this week, but going to the World Cup as a Socceroo is now a very real possibility for Ante Suto. A striker for Scottish side Hibernian, Suto is one of the bolters in the squad for the friendlies against Cameroon and Curacao. Born in Croatia, he's eligible to play for Australia through his father Anthony, who's from Melbourne, and he loves his Vegemite.
He's been bringing that home since I was a kid. And I don't like it, to be fair, yeah. I know all the stuff about Australia. I know about the weather. I know about the spiders and all that.
That passes, I reckon. And the Aussies take on Cameroon at Accor Stadium on Friday night. Patrick Kisnorbo has taken charge of Sydney FC as caretaker coach for the run to the A-League finals after the sacking of Ufuk Talay. Unwilling to trigger an extension for next season, the Sky Blues terminated Talay's contract with 4 matches remaining in the regular season. The 49-year-old has been linked to the vacant coaching role across town at the Wanderers. And fresh from setting a new world record in the 50 metres freestyle, Cam McAvoy says he can go even faster. It's the clearest sign yet that the professor is aiming for more Olympic gold with the LA Games in 2028 and then Brisbane in 2032.
I'm still processing it. That was more of a target for the end of the season, so to have hit it at the moment in March is really special.
McAvoy swam 20.88 at the China Open, smashing his rivals and the previous mark. And the previous mark stood for 17 years. It is some kind of world record. He does things differently, Cam McAvoy.
He does, but it works, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Still ahead in Sydney's afternoon news, outrage over the sentence for a driver who killed 2 siblings in a shocking crash. Global markets in shock as Trump and Tehran send mixed messages. The $30 billion base that could house people on the moon. And the King's Baton Relay makes its last stop down under.
Live from Sydney, this is 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Welcome back. These are our top stories on 7. A mother's outrage over a driver's sentence for killing her 2 children. More in a moment. A man charged with the kidnap and murder of 85-year-old Sydney man Chris Bagsarian. Donald Trump reveals a peace plan offered to Iran as he continues the build-up of American troops in the region. And a shock forecast that the rise in petrol prices could see inflation jump to 5%. In breaking news, Johnson Caucasian, the driver who killed a brother and sister in a horror crash, has been jailed for 9 years. He was speeding and driving on the wrong side of the road when he struck Alina Kaufman and Ernesto Salazar's car in Heckenberg in 2023. With time served, Caucasian will be eligible for parole in 2029. The siblings' mother was devastated after the sentence was handed down.
3 years. There is no justice. My kids' lives meant nothing to the court. And this man gets to get out and live his life.
She has vowed to continue her fight for justice. We'll have more on this developing story in the news tonight at 6. Police have arrested 2 people over the kidnap and murder of Sydney man Chris Bagsarian. A police raid in Seven Hills early this morning saw a man and a woman taken into custody. They've been questioned by detectives from the Serious Crime Squad all day. 23-year-old Declan Donnelly has now been charged with aggravated kidnapping and murder.
We believe up to 9 people were involved in this, and we will continue the investigation to identify those that were involved, no matter what part they played.
Police believe Mr Bagsarian was kidnapped by mistake when 3 people broke into his North Ryde home. He was tortured and his body was later found dumped near a golf course. The price of oil remains in flux this afternoon as mixed signals from Washington and Tehran continue to shock global markets. As our Europe correspondent Jacqueline Robson reports, US President Donald Trump claims a deal could be at hand.
Well, it's been a turbulent couple of days for the oil price, firstly dropping by 14% when Donald Trump announced there were talks happening with Iran. Then it shot back up to over $100 a barrel when Iran denied that these talks were ever happening. The US president was speaking in the White House today, saying that Iran desperately wants to make a deal, that they've been wiped out militarily and that the US has won this war. He has also made a massive claim that Iran has agreed to no longer desire or want to have a nuclear weapon ever. That's one of the big objectives of this war. If that is true, it would be a massive development. He also says they've made concessions on the Strait of Hormuz, offering a gift worth big money.
It was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money, and they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it, so that meant one thing to me, we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related.
Now, there has been the suggestion that there could be face-to-face talks between the two countries in Pakistan over the coming days. We're yet to hear any confirmation from Iran on that. It comes as Iran's top military commander has suggested that the forces will keep fighting until there is complete victory. And there has been plenty of fighting across the Middle East today. Israel and Hezbollah trading blows. There has been big Israeli strikes in the southern part of Lebanon, wiping out buildings. And here in Tel Aviv, another Iranian missile was able to sneak past the Iron Dome, smashing into a residential area, destroying apartments, setting cars on fire. And tonight there has been fresh cluster warheads being sent over, causing extensive damage.
Hundreds of people have visited a makeshift memorial in Bosley Park to pay their respects to the two young boys killed in a crash on Monday night. The teens, aged 15 and 14, collided with a bus on the Liverpool Parramatta T-Way while riding a trail bike. The pair died at the scene. New domestic violence laws are set to close a dangerous loophole. Previously, former partners still listed on a lease couldn't be charged with break and enter even after forcing their way back inside.
That set off alarm bells in the domestic and family violence sector because it meant typically a woman who'd broken up with a partner, he'd left, she was not safe from him coming back and being charged with break and enter offences. It created, in effect, a loophole.
The state government says the legislation will give victims greater protection in their own homes. Tropical Cyclone Narelle has reformed off Western Australia's north, off the Pilbara coast. It's currently sitting at Category 1 and is expected to reach at least a Category 3 over Carnarvon and Geraldton by this weekend. Perth is now on high alert, likely to experience gale force winds and rain up to 100 mils by the end of the week. NASA is eyeing a triumphant return to the moon, announcing ambitious plans to set up a $30 billion lunar base. Rob Scott has the details.
After years of talking about it, NASA now appears to be getting serious about setting up a base on the moon. Almost 60 years after Neil Armstrong walked on the lunar surface, NASA wants to take one giant leap further.
This time, the goal is not flags and footprints. This time, the goal is to stay.
Jared Isaacman, the new Space Administration chief, outlining plans today for the first human outpost beyond Earth.
NASA once changed everything, and we're going to do it again.
But to build the lunar base, work on Gateway, a small space station that NASA had planned to launch into lunar orbit, will be suspended. The components, expertise and the funds that were destined for that project will now instead be directed to the moon base, which will be built in stages.
We will invest approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years and build it through dozens of missions, working together with commercial and international partners towards a deliberate and achievable plan.
The announcement comes about a week before the launch of NASA's Artemis II mission, sending astronauts around the moon and back for the first time since 1972. And if setting humanity up for life on the moon isn't adventurous enough, Isaacman also today unveiled plans for a nuclear-powered spacecraft to Mars by the end of 2028.
Memorabilia from the world of rock and heavy metal is going under the hammer. Among the costumes and instruments for sale, a guitar belonging to the late lead guitarist for Kiss, Ace Frehley. It's set to fetch up to $800,000. The music icons auction at New York's Hard Rock Cafe also includes items from Metallica, Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. As we count down to the Commonwealth Games, the King's Baton Relay is making its final Australian stop this afternoon in Tasmania. Swimming legend Ariana Titmus going back to where it all began at the Launceston Pool where she trained. Sandra Maguire is there.
She's won 7 Commonwealth Games gold medals and claimed 4 Olympic titles. Today, Ariana Titmus was back at the pool where it all started. Carrying the Com Games baton as a part of the King's Baton Relay, she brought it back to the Ariana Titmus pool, the very place where her swimming dream and career started and where she's inspiring hundreds more. For years, these aspiring Tasmanian swimmers looked to Arnie's mural on the wall. Today, many were in disbelief that they had the opportunity to meet her in the flesh.
It is really full circle. I mean, I started swimming here when I was 10 years old, and every little kid probably has a dream of winning gold medals and representing your country at a meet like the Commonwealth Games. And so to see my name up there and the mural, it is still pinch yourself stuff. You can have a career and do everything you ever dreamt of, but it still sometimes doesn't feel real. And I just feel very proud and very honoured that my hometown still really embraces me and supports me. And I'll always make it known that I'm Tasmanian and I'm from Launceston. Doesn't matter where you live, I grew up here, I'm born and bred, and I always try to tell people that.
Ariana Titmus transcends celebrity status here in Tassie, and the old saying of never meet your heroes certainly doesn't apply to her. She spent hours chatting with aspiring swimmers, giving them advice and talking to adoring fans. She really is the embodiment of the spirit of the Commonwealth Games, which of course are only 120 days away in Glasgow.
Still ahead in Sydney's afternoon news on 7, Celine Dion teases a highly anticipated comeback. Remarkable new footage gives us an insight into the mysterious sperm whale. And it's 27 degrees in Bondi this afternoon. Your full forecast soon. Singing superstar Celine Dion has teased fans with a possible comeback tour. Dion was last seen on stage at the Paris Olympics. Her Courage World Tour was cancelled during COVID. Sarah Jane Bell reports.
Proof once more that Celine Dion's love for performing will go on and on. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but it does appear that the singer might be preparing for a comeback even as soon as September. There's been cryptic clues popping up around the city in Paris. In fact, signs with the titles of some of her songs, including The Power of Love and My Heart Will Go On. The famous singer has also posted on Instagram an array of photos of her in the city of love throughout her life with the caption, "I don't know how to tell you." We are hearing that it might be as soon as the end of this month that this comeback concert is announced, in fact on her 58th birthday. The last time we saw her perform was of course actually at the Paris Olympics on the Eiffel Tower, and it was incredible, so it would be fitting if the comeback was there. Her last tour was postponed during COVID and then actually cancelled as she dealt with stiff person syndrome. So again, this has been something that fans have been looking forward to for a very long time, and something that she herself has in fact pointed to in the past.
The Middle East crisis has disrupted many travel plans, but there are still opportunities for a cheap holiday with a Click Frenzy sale starting tonight. It will offer deals on flights, accommodation and day trips.
Get yourself up in a balloon. That is one way to take your mind off things. So Liberty Balloons, $40 off hot air balloon flights, and you can take some fantastic pictures up there, and no one can stress you out up in the sky.
The sale starts from 7 o'clock tonight. The local share market has extended its rebound, helped by a possible peace deal in the Middle East. Here's James Tower from ING Bank.
Good afternoon. The Aussie market has rallied for a second day in a row, with investors holding on to hopes of de-escalation in the Middle East conflict. The ASX 200 jumped about 155 points, or roughly 1.9%, marking its strongest performance in 6 weeks. Today's gains were fairly broad-based and led by the materials sector, especially gold miners, after the price of the precious metal snapped a 9-day losing streak. Local gold producers surged, with names such as Bellevue Gold lifting roughly 11%. Meanwhile, the energy sector was the only major laggard as local oil and gas stocks dominated the losers column. Oil prices fell about 4 to 5%, with Brent crude back below that $100 per barrel mark. And the other key development for the day was the February monthly inflation numbers that came through, slightly softer than many economists expected, though still well above the RBA's comfort zone. The release did help support the share market, but did see the Aussie dollar slip. Markets now easing their expectations of about a 60% chance of another RBA rate hike at the upcoming May meeting. And the Aussie dollar is buying about 69.7 US cents.
Our 6 p.m. news is coming up with Angela Cox and Mike Ferguson. Hello, Angela. What's on the program?
Hello, Anne. Tonight, could petrol prices be a blessing for mortgage holders? At 6, how the fuel crisis is doing the work of the Reserve Bank and could rule out future rate hikes. Mark Riley will break it all down with a closer look at the latest inflation figures. Kidnap wake-up call. A couple dragged from their home in Seven Hills, arrested over links to the murder of a North Ryde grandfather. The job's far from done. Police say there could be 9 suspects in all. Dodgy drug warning. The dangerous chemicals in fake Ozempic. Fines for people caught peddling the cut-price weight loss solutions. Telstra customers slugged with a second price rise inside a year. The mobile plan's now more expensive. And Carnival thrill seekers taken for a ride when everything comes to an abrupt halt. How long they were left hanging up there. And we will have all of that and plenty more for you in Sydney's 7 News at 6.
See that, Ange. Thank you. Well, it's the kind of clash once fabled in Moby Dick, but now it's being caught on camera. Incredible new drone footage shows sperm whales colliding head-on, shedding light on the behaviour of the mysterious ocean giants.
Legend and science rarely collide, but here in the Azores, they're crashing into each other with immense power. Scientists believe that in the largest sperm whales, blows like this could deliver up to 1,200 kilonewtons of force, roughly equivalent to the weight of 20 African elephants, hitting all at once, bang on the head. Until now, only fictional sperm whales acted like this, most famously in Moby Dick, inspired by the 1820 sinking of the Essex whaling ship and reflecting contemporary fears.
While ultimately Europeans and Americans were hunting whales, they were actually terrified of them. You know, the popular press portrayed whales as monsters.
Battles with whalers are one thing, but this footage suggests whales fight among themselves too. Thousands of kilometres away in the Balearics, researchers observed 2 adolescent males surround a smaller female, ramming and rolling into each other, then striking her before she leaves the group against a soundtrack of clicking and buzzing, hints of complex communication, which could indicate sexual competition or simple play fighting.
Play in younger animals can mirror more strongly antagonistic or competitive behaviour that will be then performed as adults. It really underscores how mysterious these animals are.
Mysteries once hidden from human eyes, but that drone footage gives us a new perspective on. An unprecedented insight into the lives of sperm whales, but this study only captured adolescents, and adults may behave differently. For now, the ocean still keeps many of this species' secrets.
Coming up next in our afternoon news, our hot shot of the day, some very cute new animal arrivals at an Australian zoo. And Angie will be here with your latest forecast across Sydney and around the country.
In 7 News at 6, petrol stink why Sydney's rubbish bins could soon be overflowing. Seven Hills arrest over a North Ryde grandfather's kidnapping and murder. The death of reality TV star Mel Schilling. How to outsmart Sydney's high-tech car thieves. And discount fares for Western Sydney Airport's first flights. 7 News live at 6.
Angie's back with a weather forecast, and there is a change on the way, Angie.
There is, and after a couple of days of sunshine, the showers are about to return along with some much cooler temperatures. Hard to believe that today, 28 degrees, blue sky right now. It's still a very warm 27. So you'll see most of the state has been fine, but cloud cover slowly starting to develop, especially through the state south. And that is linked to an approaching trough and cold front that will produce widespread wet weather in the coming days. It'll cause temperatures
temperatures to plummet as well. A vigorous coastal low is then forecast to form off the south coast during Friday, whipping up very strong southerly winds and powerful waves along the southern half of the state's coastline. Around the capitals, that change to impact Canberra with some late showers and storms developing. Showers increasing for Melbourne and Hobart as well, easing to just a passing shower for Adelaide and a possible shower for Perth on the way too. Back in the city, a mostly sunny morning with a summery top of 30 degrees. Showers to arrive in the afternoon and evening, and a storm is also possible in that mix late tomorrow. If we check the week ahead, those showers then continue to increase during Friday, gusty as well, a top of 20 degrees in the city, 19 in our west, so a sudden drop in temperature. All clearing for the weekend with tops back up in the mid-20s, and then from there on in, all pretty settled for the first half of the working week, with some temperatures even nudging 30 degrees in our west by midweek. I'll have more weather at 6, Anne.
See you then. Thanks, Angie. Victoria's Werribee Open Range Zoo has welcomed 2 little bundles of joy. The lion cubs were born last month and are thriving under the care of mum. The zoo's African lion pride is now 8 strong, and the cubs are seen as a great success for the Australasian breeding program. That's our 4 p.m. news for this Wednesday. Your next bulletin is 7 News at 6. I'm Anne Sanders. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay with 7 Now for the Chase Australia. Thank you for joining us. I hope you have a great night.